Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
And we serve as the voice to the global Black community.
Again, we got Dr. Candace Matthews.
A lot of these documents, looking at.
We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media.
This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We have a brother that's on the screen today. Now, some of you are new. You came here way after the fact. This brother been here about 5-6 years ago, Mr. Eric Coffie, and he was talking about government contracts. I know this is a little different than what we talk about, but this is important. Now, everything can't be about politics. It's a lot of money out here that we're not getting, and Eric has progressed his business where now everybody is searching him to try to help get a government contract. So, Eric, thank you for coming back on African Diaspora News Channel.
Thanks for having me, Phil. Appreciate you.
All right, Eric. So talk about really what happened from the last time that we did the interview until happened now. Because from when I heard, man, you the man.
What happened back then? I was discussing the contracts that I had won, right? So my experiences, my stories, my histories, and I was talking about all the potential and opportunities. Since that time, right, I have those same stories, but of students of mine, of peers, of people that I've coached along the way. So it's one thing, if you can do it for yourself, that's great. But then when you can start doing it for other people, now I have a history of hundreds of students who've successfully progressed and exceeded 7 figures in earnings, but also across all different industries. And so for me, I'm really proud of that because a lot of times when we hear about government contracts, we think about very small numbers. And particularly in our community, Phil, I think that when I talk about numbers that are too big, we get intimidated, we get afraid. But we've been able to show a pattern of successfully getting what I call the undiscovered group of people into this space and market and being successful at winning consistency over time.
All right. So people hearing that, it's like, we have some people here who are entrepreneurs and say, you know what, dog, how can I, even try, what's the steps to even go there? Because, some people heard about it, but right. A lot of times we don't have that knowledge because they keep a lot of knowledge hidden from us.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Yeah, no, a lot of times what we hear, right, is something like Amazon, right, where you go buy something and you sell it. But the truth is we all have a skill set. We all have a skill set. We've all worked most of our lives, right? And so we have some sort of a mastery of a subject. And that translates into contract opportunities for the government because for the most part, they buy like 90% of everything. I used to say 100%, but there are some things that they don't buy. Normally, there's things that are B2B services they don't buy. But if there's anything that the people, consumers are using, the government's buying it, whether it's food items, whether it's protein bars or shakes, or like we mentioned offhand, the wigs, right? They buy wigs for cancer patients. They buy grooming services. I know someone who's a personal trainer that essentially, because of his expertise in personal training, he helped them redesign their gym facilities, right? And so we don't, oftentimes what I see and what I work with people on is shaping how does your expertise translate into what the way they buy those particular contracts, because it's not always a one-for-one translation. Does that make sense?
Right. So if you doing, like, for instance, let's say you are a person, let's say you're a welder, right? Or a truck driver. Mm-hmm. There's government contracts for that.
Absolutely. Welders, is a big shortage of welders right now. Welders, in fact, I can talk about the submarine program. They can anticipate right now, the government has already awarded contracts for submarines, and they don't have enough welders to work on these submarines. They can anticipate that out 10 years. So if you are a welder, then I would encourage you, if you are a welder that had a bunch of other welders that you work with that you knew, you could actually go to the government with, I don't know, however many, 5, 10, 100 welders, and they have contracts for you to be able to do welding on the submarines right now.
And the same thing with truck drivers as well.
Truck drivers is a little bit different. Yes, absolutely. Truck drivers is a little bit different because and let me say something. I want to make sure I clarify this for everyone listening. I specify my area of expertise is federal procurement. So it's federal contracts, not state and local. I'm really not a big fan of state and local contracts. Until you get to a certain size and scale, I think they can be harmful to minority businesses. In fact, I know a lot of people who've gone out of business working in state and locals because they don't have the same rules in terms of how they pay you, in terms of, and so they're not obligated to pay you on time. And so they don't. And so you'll find out a lot of municipalities actually, through the state and local programs, are actually bankrupting minority businesses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. So if any of y'all hear that, y'all need to be really paying attention to what Brother Eric is saying right now. So, last time you came, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were saying the first thing that we need to make sure to do is, of course, you should have your Duns and Bradstreet. That should be something all of us should have.
Yep.
But definitely sign up with sam.gov, correct?
Correct. Sign up with sam.gov. Yep. You have that. Those are the basic things. Once you've signed up and once you sign up at sam.gov, the next thing that you need to do is, and this seems like a basic, all of it seems pretty basic, but it's like football or any sports. You got to go to the basics, right? You got to practice dribbling, handling, passing. Does that make sense, Phil? Mm-hmm. Where we make mistakes is we spend our time getting certified, minority, 8A, women, we get all these certifications, right? Because we believe somehow that is the pathway. And so what I want people to do is they haven't done their fundamentals, but yet they got certifications. So let's not skip over the fundamentals. And what are those fundamentals, right? And after you're registered, you need to register your company in a second portal. It's free, right? Now this portal is with the SBA and it's tied to SAM, but most of us forget to do it. It costs you no more money. It's just one additional step. And in that portal is what the government uses to research companies who offer the services that you offer. But because we only register in SAM and not the second portal with the SBA's profile, we don't get the calls. We don't get people looking at us. We don't get invited to participate in opportunities. See how simple that is?
Yeah, see, I didn't know that. I knew about the sam.gov, but I know about the SBA part. I didn't know that part.
Right. And so this portal is called Dynamic Small Business Search. It doesn't even make any sense, but it's an additional step after you finish your SAM that says, hey, would you like to put your information to this portal? Well, most of us think nothing of it because we weren't properly taught how the government searches databases for finding contractors. In fact, this is a law that says that when they're looking at setting up requirements, they've got to go and do research. Well, guess what? That part of the research is not on SAM. It's in this portal. So being in SAM won't get your name. Yes, you'll be listed, but because your profile will be incomplete and not filled out, they're not going to know you exist, or they're going to ignore you because clearly you've not done the additional steps, which are, it's just like a few additional steps. And then now you're going to be putting in your past performance, history, work that you've done, any certifications that you have in terms of like skills. So for example, Phil, you might list on there all the media that you've done in the past, right? The type of media, the organization you work for. See, SAM does not capture that information. Mm-hmm. So if you got to go this one additional step, and now once you put your information in there, that's where it's all captured. That's the database that the government searches when they're doing research for small businesses. We don't do it. 99% of us don't even do it. And it's free.
So when a person go through those steps, what is the likelihood of, Black entrepreneurs being rewarded with some of these contracts? Because the current administration claimed that they rewarded more contracts to Black entrepreneurs. Like I said, I don't know if that could be true, could not be true. I don't know. But I'm just saying what they have said. But what is the likelihood of a lot of Black entrepreneurs, winning these contracts?
Very good question. Now, I don't know that the current administration said that they're awarding more to Black entrepreneurs. I do know that they said they're awarding more to disadvantaged entrepreneurs, which by definition, for most part, it extrapolates that to be Black, but it's really minority, which in part, I will say this. I would say, and again, it depends on how far you want to go with this. A lot of those contracts that are going to disadvantaged organizations are not necessarily Black, right? A lot of them are actual Native American and tribal organizations that get the bulk of those disadvantaged contracts at the federal level. So we all get lumped into one category. It's called disadvantage. And so if you look at the disadvantaged category, which includes Black, because we're presumed to be disadvantaged, and and other ethnic groups, but the bulk of those contracts are going to Alaska Native tribes, Native American tribal, and the Native Hawaiian organizations. So they can get credit for using those groups.
Yeah, see, and this is why when we talk more so, about politics, why we don't like the terms minority, distressed communities, disadvantaged, like you said.
Right.
That's why, because we noticed, and y'all hearing what Eric's saying, he deals with federal contracts all the time. He's telling you how that wording always leave us out, right? That's why we always say you need to say Black American, freedmen, whatever. But what is some contracts that you saw that you may say, you know what, you probably have a higher probability of winning these type of contracts versus maybe, other ones, right?
Yeah. And I want to go back and answer your question, because I didn't want you to skip that, but also, do we have an opportunity? Absolutely. We have a chance to win. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we have a chance to win is because it actually, Phil, has gotten easier to do contracts than when I started. I started doing this back in 2008. When I started doing this, there was 120,000 small businesses competing at the contracts. Now there's 66,000. So it's half the number of companies competing. So you really have versus, and then when we look at math, again, I'm an engineer, so I'm a little bit nerdy, but at that time, the government was spending with small businesses around 70 billion. Now there's half the number of companies, 66,000, and they're spending upwards of 200 billion with small businesses. So you have half the number of people and triple the money. So you really have to me, a 5x better probability of winning than you had back when I started back in 2008, 2009. The problem is, and this is what happens to me with all these programs, they don't have money, in my opinion, for training, right? So they're not training us on properly what to do or how to do it. And so what we are left to our own vices, or subject to the people who are, employees of institutions who've never actually won a contract. They've never been on the other side of the fence. And so they're giving us advice and information that doesn't lead us to success. So the short answer on that is we actually have a chance if we do the right steps, meaning that if we get registered in that second portal, free, right? If we research the industries, right, that we want to do, we research who the offices that are buying that, again, free. Everything is public and free. And then now we start having conversations with that group of individuals about our products and services. That's going to increase your probability of getting contract opportunities tenfold. But we never do those steps. We go out and we get certified and we look at and we bid projects. That's what the majority of people listening do. They get certified as a minority or whatever, and then they go and bid projects, and then they hope they win without doing any type of preparation or research or being strategic. And so that's the challenges I see that we happens a lot in our community. And it's, to me, it's just a lack of training. I've actually applied before to become a training organization. But going back to kind of what you said, which I like being on the show because you let me be candid, they keep giving the same money to the same people that provide the training who, in my opinion, don't have a vested interest to teach us the proper ways to do this stuff.
Correct. Because in order to keep us at the bottom, you got to keep us economically strapped, right? So if too many of these Black people start getting these contracts, and then they can know how to flip it and do the right thing with it. They don't want to see that. So just even you having that information, I know they probably looked at you like how he found all that out. Because boy, anytime we get some good information, boy, they looking funny at us. They asking us 1,000 questions like, well, who taught you that? You know how it goes. Oh, no. Listen, let me tell you something. So I'm having my own conference this year, right? And I had a conference last year. You know why I'm having it, Phil? Because they wouldn't put me on stage to speak. Even though for many, many years, right, I was number one on YouTube teaching this. I had millions of views talking about federal contracts, helped thousands of people. The conferences wouldn't put me on stage. And they know me. I've had them on my podcast. I've had them on my show. But yet they would not give me a platform to teach this. So for me, I felt like they weren't trying to change what they were doing. And so they forced me to say, you know what, I'm going to have my own event so I can have a bunch of people in the room that look like me and give them access to the real information that they need in order to be successful. But I was forced to do that because I didn't get a seat at the table. Yeah. So basically what you did was just like, forget your table. I'll just go build my own.
Right.
And that's really what we should be doing. Now, your conference, when is your conference coming up?
November 14th and 15th in Miami Beach.
Okay, 14 and 15 in Miami. All right. So people, because last time you came, I remember, I'll never forget that you came and just the information you gave, it was a sister that got awarded a $70,000 contract. I'll never forget that. It wasn't long after you came and she told me, yeah, I listened to that interview and I got that $70,000 contract. So just even interviews like this, right? Somebody gonna take some information, do some research, do the right thing. So at your conference, and everything, I'm pretty sure what on your website is the location, exact location where the conference is going to be outside of Miami, of course.
Sure. Yeah, no, the location. Yeah, it's going to be at the Fontainebleau Hotel.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And tickets on sale now, correct?
Tickets are on sale now, correct. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, how many years, every year you had this conference?
This is my second year.
Your second year. Okay. Your first year, what you was mentioning about the other people who wouldn't let you on stage. Mm-hmm. Did they show up, to yours?
No, they haven't showed up to support me yet.
Okay. All right. But definitely a lot of us have showed up and got some knowledge.
We've had people, we've had probably, right now, I know of 24 success stories from people getting contracts after leaving.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's great. That's great. Yeah. I like to hear that. So, and also you offering like services where you'd like just kind of coach people to get where they need to be as well.
I mean, we've been doing training now for 5 years. So we've been offering training courses. We do group coaching and we help a lot of companies, like I said, just coaching them on the right things to do, right? The right activities. There's just a lot of misinformation out here now. And we want to coach people up and that's why I'm having the conference too. I want to put you in a room so I'll just give you an example, Phil. In Miami, Florida, and I want to give this context, right? And I didn't have this beforehand, right? In Miami, Florida, if you go to the marina where all the yachts and stuff are, there's 400 boat slips. 5 of them are owned by Black people. 3 of them are my friends, and they all do government contracts. They're all going to be at my conference. So you're going to hear from people that are doing 80 million a year, 90 million a year, 100 million a year that look like you. They're going to sit down with you and talk to you. Over and above, you're going to hear from the federal agencies that the people that are coming are not coming to brag about how much money they're giving out. They're coming to talk to you about opportunities. So if you're ready, right? If you're ready, willing, and able, like for example, if you got the capabilities now, they're going to be talking to you about what your capabilities are and where they see that can be a fit with their organization. That's the kind of people that we're bringing in the room. And none of those people, by the way, did have platforms either. So, it wasn't just me, right? Even my successful friends didn't have big platforms because they weren't being put on stage either to hear their stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but some people, man, some of the most successful people don't have a social media presence like that. If they do, it may be like 100 followers, but they got billions of dollars.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about, I know, I agree 1,000%. No, not social media. I'm just talking about even when they go to conferences, you didn't hear them speak. You didn't get a chance to meet these kind of people, like you said, that have 2,000 employees. They're not being put on stage. So we're
2,000 employees. I'm just thinking about the payroll. Oh, Lord. 2,000 employees. You got to make a bag to have 2,000 people working for you.
Yeah. One of my guys, that's where he's around that 2,000 employees.
Man, I would sure like to have a conversation with somebody with that many employees. Like, how do you manage all that? That's a lot.
Hey, 53 years old, Black.
53 with 2,000 employees? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to hear from those people. They're and that particular person, they're going to be talking about how to do acquisitions and scale through acquisitions because he graduated from small business many years ago. And so now he's at what they call middle tier section, which is the 100 to 500 million range. And then they're going to be talking about how he's been doing acquisitions to continue to scale. So he did a 75 million acquisition last year, a 40 million acquisition the year before that. And so now, but you're going to hear from people that look like us talking about these kind of things and the actual, like how to do it. And I can tell you that he's made introductions for me that got me now thinking that I can actually do acquisitions and give me the confidence because I know all the players and what it takes. And none of this stuff is as hard as it seems. We just don't have the right people and we don't have access to the right information.
And that's really our biggest issue. We just don't have the right information. And, you know, we do have conferences like yours and out there where we can get that information. So Eric, tell people, you know how to, get to your services and also the information for the conference. Man, you got a website. Just tell people how to get to that.
Yeah. My website is GovCon Giants, right? And GovCon Giants, GovCon Giants.org. That will take you to our website for the summit, GCG Summit. And, from there, like I said, we have a list of courses, and on the summit page, we'll talk about all the speakers. You'll see the different agencies coming. And like I said, we're looking forward to bringing more people in the room, giving them the actual real information. My name, Eric, my last name is Coffie, Coffie, and you can find me anywhere on YouTube, on LinkedIn, any of the social platforms.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to, his website, GovCon Giants. You say .org, correct?
.org.
Yeah, .org. And, either book some time or if you're out there in Miami or you wanted to say, man, I really want to go to that conference. Hey, get your ticket, head on out there. Because, what's not having the knowledge, I mean, that's why we are left out. And you heard what Eric had to say. Them folks don't want us to have the knowledge. So you got to go get it on your own. It's the bottom line. So Eric, thank you for joining us once again, brother. It was good to talk to you again and have you on the show. And yeah, definitely you and your family, y'all stay blessed.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, Phil. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody.